Hi, welcome to Wild Earth, Australia's Wild Chats. My name is Ben Southall, founder of Best Life Adventures, and today we are digging deep into the world of another adventurous person who has spent, the last 20 years of life getting into the great outdoors. And today, rather than doing it in a distant part of the planet over the power of the internet, Karla happened to be coming past Crumman Valley, so we thought we'd drop in and do this one in person. Everybody, welcome to Karla Pound.
Hello.
The idea of the first part of this is always to not let me read a bio, but maybe let you do your sort of 20-second elevator pitch on you and who you are and what the world is all about right now. And then we'll dig into and strip back everything that has got you to this stage in life. Far away.
All right, so I am currently working as an expedition leader for National Geographic. It's high-end tourism, and I generally work in the South Pacific. So I do Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, French Polynesia, New Zealand, and then I do a bit of Antarctica as well. So that's been me for the last couple of years, but I've spent the last 15 years or more in mostly Outback Australia. Again, high-end tourism, taking people on hikes and full driving, kayaking, camel tours. You name it, I've done it.
I love the diversity of it, because you usually get sort of people involved in the tourism industry who have their speciality. You know, they're a master reef guide or they're an outback explorer. But to go across all of these different continents, landscapes, topographies, terrains, weathers, it's quite all-encompassing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like I certainly am not an expert in any one thing. I like to dabble in all things. I have a jill of all trades, and I've just been really open-minded, and, you know, whatever opportunity has come my way, I've just said yes and gone into it wholeheartedly, and it's been an epic career. It's been amazing.
It looks like, just from following your story through social media, just seeing what Karla does in the wild, there is a lot going on. You are always moving somewhere. I don't imagine there's any kids in tow. I don't imagine there's a partner in tow at the moment. It's just like, I'm on a mission.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, catch me if you can. I'm always on the move, and I've just, definitely got gypsy blood, and I don't like to be in one place for too long. So no partner, no kids, no mortgage, nothing tying me down, and it's just the next adventure after the next, which I love the freedom. It's something that most people don't have in their life, is ultimate freedom. Absolutely. So I enjoy it.
Yeah. And we met, a long time ago now. We've kept in touch, through the digital portals, but the first place that we met, just you reminded me, and it was like, oh my God, it was back then.
So 2012, I was a cameleer at Uluru Camel Tours at The Rock, and you were coming down to promote the World's Best Job the following years. And we raced camels together, and I beat you. You'd want to hope so, considering I worked at the camel farm.
I love the name, first of all, Cameleer, first of all. The idea that this was a Tourism Australia campaign. I was literally out there pretending to be an outback explorer for 48 hours. And they were like, right, we've lined all these things up. And I remember it was like, there's the camel. Her name's Alice. She's won the camel race in Alice Springs last year. Get on her back and race her. Yeah. Having never even really ridden a Shetland pony. Yeah, I'm glad you won that one. So that was where we touched base. That's where we met each other for the first time. But your formative years, it's always good to sort of strip right back on where a person grew up and what their foundation was all about. What were the parents like? What was the trips like? What was the adventure like in those early days?
Yeah, I mean, people often ask how I got into it, and it certainly wasn't from my family. Even to this day, my parents don't really go camping or anything. But they did put me into Girl Guides. So from the age of 4, I was camping, kayaking, hiking, learning to build fires and tie knots, and that hugely contributed to who I am today. So did that all through my childhood years, and then once I was in high school, I really fell deep into wildlife care. So I did wildlife rescue. So my house was a menagerie. So we had possums and kangaroos and birds. I had 27 snakes at one stage. Like, my house was insane. Growing up in Sydney too, in suburbia. Wow. Yeah, we backed onto bush block, but it was still suburbia. And then I studied zoology when I first left school, and then I worked as a zookeeper at the Australian Reptile Park in New South Wales for 5 years. And I thought I was going to be a zookeeper forever. That was, my path in life. But then I was travelling through Outback Australia with a bunch of friends on a road trip, and went to the Uluru Camel Farm, did a sunrise camel tour, and the owner of the farm offered me a job on the spot to be a cameleer. Totally changed. I was supposed to be moving to Cairns to work in the zoo up there, and I was just like, move to the desert, work with camels. I can't think of a reason to say no. And it just totally changed my direction in life. And that got me into tour guiding. And then I really got deep into bush tucker while I was there, working with the Indigenous community that was there. And that kind of opened up my eyes into naturalist guiding. And from there I moved to the Kimberley, and I just fell in love with the Kimberley. And that really pushed me into that, naturalist guiding, bush tucker, wildlife. And that was kind of me for the next 10 years in lots of different environments. Yeah, but it all started because of the camel farm.
Sounds very, in a way, it's it's sort of Irwin-esque thing coming from the UK. You know, the concept of understanding what Australia is all about. This massive sunburnt continent where there are things that are going to, you know, spike you or kill you or stab you or whatever to death. That's the perception you get. But then you get the sort of heroes that tell the story in a different way. You know, the Steve Irwins of the world that come out there. It seems like that's sort of the female version of that, growing up with this passion for the environment, for the place that you grow up, but then sort of somehow with opportunities that come, turning it into a career.
Yeah, and I used to say that I was really lucky to live the life that I live, and I'm grateful. I was lucky that I had a passion from a young age, and I could build a career around that passion, which is based around wildlife. And it still is, you know, now working around the world with Nat Geo, it's still very much wildlife based. So, yeah, I'm incredibly grateful that there's jobs out there that I can do that fulfill me. I wake up every day excited to go to work, and I don't have to go get a real job to get paid to adventure.
From Sydney to go from living in Sydney. So what age were you when you were sort of leaving out?
21.
Okay. And then to go to somewhere like Alice Springs, which is, my little boy Atlas is out there for a term right now. He's got 12 weeks there with mum out there. But to go from somewhere like that is very full on, it's 24 hours a day, it's a very compressed, busy lifestyle, to somewhere like Alice Springs. How did that sort of feel as a vibe?
It took me a little bit to slow down. I remember being at the local supermarket at Mutijulu, at Yalara rather, and the woman was putting through my groceries. I'm thinking, what the bloody hell is taking this woman so long? And she's chit-chatting to people. I was just so used to that fast-paced lifestyle that I still live very fast-paced, but it really took me a while to just go, take a chill pill and have a chat to your neighbour at the supermarket and just don't be in a rush anymore. And I didn't realise how bad Sydney was until I moved to the Outback, and then I went back to Sydney to visit, and I was like, whoa, like it was, even still now after 2 days I start to get anxiety. I'm like, no, thank you, I'm getting out of the city. Once you really remove yourself, it's eye-opening.
It's almost like the vibe and the feel that we get by going on holiday or travelling somewhere. We go away to decompress, to take the pressure out of our life and to go and just go back to what we're meant to be doing. And every day now, even in the business that I'm running as a travel business and being in contact and answering emails, there's always this perception that you're living this life even now where it's all very much wilderness based and you can let the pressure of life slow down. But we're full on. I know as watch you. You are full on. You're always moving places. So you sort of slide in and slide out of these different environments.
Yes. Even just now, I've been on the Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast for the last week. I've been rollerblading twice, went rock climbing, I went and shot pistols, I did a burlesque dance class, I did a yoga air class. I'm in a city, but I'm still like, I need to do things that just go. It never ends.
So this is really, I think back in the days when I was at school, we used to talk about lowering the number of E numbers you had in your colouring your food as a kid, because ADHD wasn't a thing then. It was just, we had lots of energy and people didn't know how to put us in boxes and control us. And the ADHD, if you can channel it, if you can put it into something which is your passion and your future, this is almost what we're trying to do, isn't it? 100%.
And I'm undiagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I do. But it's a superpower.
Like
the things that I've achieved in my life, I've lived the life of 10 people. Like if I died tomorrow, you know, I've got
done
a pretty
good bit.
I've had a solid crack.
So the idea of being on a tourism camel ride and then suddenly working in a camel farm, you must have been a rank outsider that was coming into what is a very sort of stable environment for the camels, almost the stable environment, because everybody knows what they do there. They've got their routines. They've sort of grown up with them. How do you sort of break into an industry like that?
It was actually really funny when I think back, because my very first month on the farm, I obviously have to learn the camels. I think we had over 50 camels there, and they're all very individual. They've got their own idiosyncrasies, big personalities, but you have to build a trust with them as well. And again, people that have grown up with these animals, like horse people, you have that instant connection. So I definitely had to work at it. But what was funny was, like, we used to speak to them in Arab, and one of the commands to get them to sit was whoosh, which meant sit down. And for a month, I'm like, whoosh, whoosh, trying to get these camels to respond. And they're not responding well to me, and they're responding to everyone else fine. I'm like, what is going on? I'm an animal person. Like, I feel connected to this animal. It's not responding. So I got the camel farm owner. I was like, can you just come watch me interact? Like, I'm doing something wrong. So I'm like trying to get this camel to sit. I'm like, whoosh, whoosh. He's like, oh, nah, Karla, you're not being dominant and strong enough. Put like a real strong, like a man voice on. I was like, oh, whoosh, and it sat straight away. And I was like, I think, like for a month, I'm like, whoosh, whoosh, trying to make this thing respond to me. I just wasn't being strong and dominant enough with it. And then straight away, and I didn't have a problem after that.
So it's, in a way, it's like opportunity knocks, isn't it? There's the chance to go and do something different. Is that the shiny things syndrome, where it's like, let's go and do this? And how long did you sort of sustain it before you were looking elsewhere and you're thinking, I need to do other things? Is it just when opportunity comes, or do you actively seek something after that?
Both, because a lot of the work that I do being up in the northern part of Australia is seasonal. So it shuts down after 5 to 6 months in these luxury resorts.
Yeah.
So I have to go find another job. Yeah. My family used to ask, like, isn't that stressful? I'm like, nah. I was like, what can I do now?
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
So then it actually got me in that habit. Then if I was doing a full-time job that I could stay longer than 6 months, when I got to 6 months, I was like, oh, gotta go. Ready to go again.
Okay, so it works quite nicely. I mean, I know that for a friend of mine runs Franklin River Rafting down in Tasmania, and they obviously have their seasons down there, and as soon as that closes up, the raft instructors fly to Norway. So they're just using the planet and the seasons as opportunity to go and do things differently. Yeah,
so I was just saying, most of my work has been in the Kimberley or the Northern Territory. It's the same thing. I go up there for the dry season, and then once the wet kicks in, I'll come down somewhere south or start to go overseas. So it's worked beautifully. It's really nice. And I do a lot of fill-in work as well. So a previous boss might call me and say, hey, I've got 6 weeks that I need somebody to come and be a fishing guide in the Kimberley. Can you do it?
Yeah.
And I'll look at my, calendar and go, do you know what? I can do it. And just jump on a plane and go. So
how far out are you mapping your life right now?
At the moment, I'm about 12 months out.
Yeah.
I used to do it every 3 months. I only knew 3 months in advance. But now with my work being overseas, they have to book me in at least 12 months in advance, which is great for job security. But then I'm like, at least other opportunities come up and I can't do them. So it can be hard.
That's hardest things is when these last minute opportunities, whether it's filming a show or whether it's going and doing a new project, to be able to sort of say no to those is just one of the bullets you've got to bite on.
And I get FOMO big time. Yeah. I'll try and keep in touch with the people and maybe, we can organise it for another time. But yeah, it kind of eats at me. I'm like, oh, I want to do that too. And you just got to pick one thing.
Out of school and then study post that, was that into a college to get any skill sets, any qualifications? What did you sort of do from there?
Yeah, so I did zoology, so I did it through the zoo, like private college. Then since then, like studies that I've done is more practical jobs, like my commercial skipper ticket, my helicopter license. It's just to the next level, I guess, and the same thing, like it was in the Kimberley, I was working as a naturalist guide and I was the tour guide on the boat, and there was a fella who was a skipper and I was like, I want to do your job. So I just looked up, how do I become a skipper? And I moved to the Cairns area and I worked there on boats as a deckhand just to get my sea time. That was Airlie Beach rather. Then I went to Cairns to study to get my ticket. That was over 10 years ago. The biggest thing with my career is like when people suggest things, I just say yes. Like even becoming a helicopter pilot, I was driving airboats at the time and the boss just came over to me one day and said, have you thought about flying helis? Like, I can see how you drive an airboat and I think you'd be all right as a pilot. I was like, oh, no, but went home that night, researched, and within 6 months I moved interstate and was at aviation school. So
this is a great example. It's a great example of that, exactly that. There are so many opportunities out there and you can either stay in your box, you can either live in your comfort zone or push yourself out there. I think you're an epic example of how to go about doing that.
Even now in expedition, like it was COVID times, I was flying helis at the time, and we know that tourism sort of died out at that horrible period of everyone's life. And it just got suggested to me to be an expedition leader. So I didn't even know what that meant. But the company had heard about me from somebody just as a person. And they reached out and said, would you like to come and be an expedition leader? And
This was Nat Geo?
No, this was with Coral Expeditions. It's an Australian mob. So I was with them for a year. And then I got with Nat Geo because they were coming to Australia and they hadn't been to the region in the Kimberley for 7 years. And as you know, it's 12-metre tides up there. They need somebody that knows the region. And not one person in the company knew the Kimberley. So my name got put forward for them. It was just going to be a 6-week contract, but now I've been with them for over 2 years. Again, it's just opportunity upon opportunity. Comes a knock and I'm like, righto. And I just, even though sometimes it feels like, should I really take that path when I, was going to go in that direction? But I think people get so focused on their long-term goal that they miss the things in front of them here.
Yeah, and they're not nimble enough to change and move. And COVID gave everybody, I mean, the adventure world is a good space to be in when you were coming into COVID in a way, because people in adventures who have to plan for themselves and risk mitigate are used to making last minute decisions and changing. I think adventurous people were set up to deal with COVID better than people that are stuck in day-to-day jobs. I think, COVID was traumatic for so many people across the world when it comes to tourism, but I think the strength of businesses really showed after COVID. If you'd got one and you were able to adapt and do things differently and you'd survive the COVID era, you were able to go on and you got a stronger business after it. So, we ended up doing a lot of weird, random onshore stuff in Australia. We explored some of the backwaters around here. Took a group up with Outback paddlers to the Torres Strait, did things up there. We weren't allowed to leave Queensland. We had to do things for Queenslanders in Queensland. Whereas normally we were flying to Norway, to the Arctic Circle, we were going to the Himalayas, and all of those were off limits. So being able to be adaptable and find something new that kept ultimately our desire to go and find cool places alive as well, ended up becoming a product for Best Life Adventures. So I sort of see how it went.
Yeah, and it's actually a nice thing because then you got to explore your own backyard. I think that was kind of the silver lining of COVID, is that people had to stay in Australia. So they're finally doing outback travel in Australia. So it was great for us in tourism in that way, because the old road trip through the outback was really hot in the 80s, but then that kind of died off. But then finally people are starting to do it again. So.
Definitely a very popular thing. So Atlas is 7 at the moment. He goes to the school just down the road in Crummer Valley, and there's 3 kids within that class of 21 who in sometime in the last 18 months have left with their parents, and they're doing their lap. So it's
every
good
kid
that
should
they're
do
out
it.
there doing it.
Absolutely, just opens up your mind. We have such an amazing country, such diverse environments, that we're so lucky, and most Aussies haven't seen their own backyard. It's wild.
So to rewind you a little bit on this one, where was your first night ever that you spent under canvas? Was it back in the Girl Guides?
Oh, yeah, it would have been. It would have been, out in New South Wales, probably mountains, most likely. Yeah, out that way. We did a lot of work out there. Yeah, and I just got addicted to it straight away. Like, even now, I have a better night's sleep in a swag in the middle of nowhere than I would in a 5-star.
So you're a swagger, not a tenter?
Got a rooftop tent on my Hilux now, but I've been swag for probably 10 years. I've only had that rooftop tent for the last few years now.
There's definitely demographics on it. There's definitely sets of people that prefer one over the other. I always find a swag so big to transport, but then I realise I've got roof tents on top of the vehicles, which are there the whole time for access. But it's just different horses for different courses. Yeah,
rooftop tent is just so convenient. And mine's a pop-top one, so it literally takes me 2 minutes to set it up. All your bedding stays in there, and I can park up anywhere.
Absolutely.
Whereas a swag, you've got to be a bit more selective, crocodile country, or just not being on the side of a road, or being a little bit safer. But that thing, pop it up anywhere.
So let's just go straight out of that growing conversation about where you've gone in life and go to 2 nights you've got to stay anywhere in Australia. Where would you pitch that tent for 2 nights if you could go anywhere?
Kimberley.
Straight in the Kimberley.
There is nowhere on the entire planet that I love as much as I do as the Kimberley. And I'm kind of like a been there, done that kind of girl. The Kimberley, there is something about it. It just makes me go back time and time again, and it has the same effect on me every time. It is the last frontier of Australia. It is just so untouched. Red rocky escarpment, 1.8 billion year old rock, indigenous art that's 17,000 years old, waterfalls, crocodiles, bird life, just stunning scenery, humpback whales during winter. It's just
a frustratingly long drive from here to get there. I mean, it's got to be a 5-day, 6-day, 10-day.
It's a long way.
Yeah,
I mean, because I do a lot. Most of my work these days is via the ship, the expedition ship. So I fly into either Darwin or into Broome, and then I do the coast. So I'm mostly coastal these days. So
it's so on my radar. I just have not. I've got to the centre and I've got out west to do filming and things, but never got to that quadrant.
You've saved the best to last. That's why I saved the best to last.
I need to get back out there, so I need to go and do that for my first trip. So. Okay, so I want to know this journey of sort of becoming an expedition guide, because obviously you go through what are the growth patterns of going from trying it to then being suggested to do it, then getting your certification, then people identify you and headhunt you. For someone out there that's just about to go, I think I want to be more than just a trekker. I want to take people for that journey. How does it work? How does it go?
I think the best thing you can be is open-minded and willing to move somewhere remote. That is the main thing. So jobs that go through, the Red Centre, that are really hard work. You'll put your long hours in. There'll be multi-day trips. You might start in Darwin and you'll drive down and you'll camp with your guests in a minibus and you'll be setting up their tents and making all their food. And it is hard, long work. But the amount of jobs that I have taken that were crappy pay because the job itself was incredible. Driving airboats on a buffalo station towards Arnhem Land. I've taken so many jobs that the money is absolutely, you get more at Macca's, but I have never, ever, ever chased money. I've chased the opportunity. I've chased building my experience, and it has always led me to the next thing. So people balk at it, particularly if they're coming from a corporate job and wanting to get into this outdoor space. The money sometimes isn't great. It's a passion. For me, it's about wanting to wake up every single day, wanting to go to work and putting my head on the pillow at night time, feeling so satisfied. For me, having fun, but I've made somebody else's whole holiday. And I wouldn't trade that for any amount of money ever. So don't be scared to take a job that's remote. It will take you away from your family and friends. It can do, is long hours, but it's getting your foot in the door and nothing's permanent. People get so scared to make that first move, to move interstate, to take that job. You don't have to do it forever. Some of the work, like I said, is seasonal. It's 6 months. Do it for 12 months. Get your experience, and it's a stepping stone to the next one.
I think you see so many of the tourism industries that I have touch points with. You see so many foreigners that have come over to fill those roles. There's not many Australians that take that on as their first stepping stone into the tourism industry. You know, it's almost like they want to go overseas to do stuff. And I suppose that's, you know, the nature of the world, is that you want to go and learn about another country and you want to do things over there. When you were working in Alice Springs, did you feel like that was a melting pot of internationals coming together, or was it Aussies?
Yeah, look, I think it was a bit of a mix. I'd probably 50-50, to be honest. Like, there was definitely the same amount of Aussies I was working with as international people. But generally on those multi-day ones, that's where a lot of the backpackers will come in and they'll pick up the work as well. Yeah. It definitely can be hard to break into. A piece of paper is great, but it doesn't beat the experience.
Yeah.
Yes, go get the qualifications for sure. It certainly can help. But, you know, you can look at somebody that has that qualification or someone that's got 10 years experience, probably going to take the person with the experience.
Absolutely. That's the only, I mean, it's almost irrelevant, isn't it? Yeah, yes, it's nice to have some paperwork, but you have grown through the experiences in a way. Every single one opportunity that you get opens up that knowledge bank. It pushes your comfort zones and you just accept more and more things. So when it comes to certification and looking at what you need to do those jobs, are you someone that, you know, yes, you need to for a helicopter pilot, but to be a Nat Geo guide, is it just experience that gets you across the line?
I am probably the only person that works for Nat Geo on my ship that doesn't have a degree. Everybody else has a degree or a double degree. And, you know, I work with some of my team, they've got PhDs, they live and breathe it, but my experience got me in.
Yeah.
Took me 15 years to get there, my 15 years experience, but I'm now an expedition leader at the age of 37. A lot of people are much older and they have those qualifications. Mine came with experience.
Okay. The Alice Springs jump then, the next destinations that you were heading to regularly, that you were sort of calling in a way your home, where were you laying your hat?
Kimberley, yeah. So I went from Uluru working with the camels to El Questro in the Kimberley. I was a ranger, which is a glorified tour guide essentially. So that's how I really got deep into bush tucker. I started doing bird watching tours. Yeah, it was fun. Then we did like full drive tours and whatnot. From there, I moved down to Kangaroo Island and I was a wildlife presenter. I did free flight bird shows with eagles and owls and falcons that were rehabilitated. But I actually moved to Kangaroo Island to work at Southern Ocean Lodge. But I had a partner at the time and things weren't working out, and I actually left that job quite early and took the wildlife job instead, and I really loved that job. So that's the other thing, is people get scared of moving interstate and sometimes the job doesn't work out. But at the very least, it'll introduce you to new people, you'll be in a new environment, you'll learn something about yourself, you'll have a new skill, or maybe just go, hey, I gave it a go and now I know that's not for me. You'll still be better off because of the experience.
And the doorways that you opened and the contact books that you've made.
Absolutely.
So getting out there, I mean, that's a real big lesson from it, I think, is that sometimes you can send 1,000 resumes, but there's nothing better than walking out, turning up, having a conversation, getting to know the person and having the human contact. That's what gets these doorways of opportunity opening, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so from there I was Kangaroo Island, then I moved up to the Whitsundays. And again, taking jobs that were not, you know, glamorous. I was a hostie on an overnight dive boat. I was cooking and cleaning for 30 backpackers to get my sea time. Okay. So I did that for 8 months until I got my sea time. Then I became a skipper. So again, like, don't be scared to take the crappy job to get your foot in the door, to get the experience, to then take the next step up.
The crappy job might be the day-to-day actions of what you're doing with your hands and how you're earning your money, but it's the environment you're in. You know, you're on a dive boat in the Whitsundays.
Oh, totally.
I think the crappy job for me would be, okay, let's not offend too many people, but let's say you're in Liverpool in the UK and you're on one of the Mersey ferries and you're basically serving the coffee on one of those. That, to me, you're not surrounded by the beautiful environment, which
Agreed.
gives you that peaceful space.
Yeah, and let me take back the word crappy job, because it wasn't, because my lunch breaks were spent snorkeling or diving. I was out there driving Zodiacs around. I was learning to be a deckhand. I was around people that were diving and having fun on the beaches. The job itself was really fun. The unglamorous side was making beds and scrubbing toilets and cooking. I mean, that's what I mean by crappy job. The job itself was actually really, really fun, and I've got lifelong friends from it as well. I would never take that experience away, but it was bloody hard work, and I was making beds and scrubbing toilets. And it was a very unglamorous part to it, but I tell people all the time, like, that in our industry, sometimes you might have a rough day. In our line of work, our worst day is better than most people's best day.
Yeah, I think it's a reality check, isn't it? It is that whole... And also, you have to recognise, I think, that your holiday, a holiday that people come to do, you know, you're living in a holiday environment that 80% of Europe would love to do on a holiday once in a lifetime basis. So to be lucky enough to be working in that environment day to day, sometimes you put the blinkers on, you get stuck in the mundane, you get stuck in the crap relationship with the boss, or the, I've got to do this repetition task every single day. It's the zoom out sometimes. It's like, you know, sitting here today, it's like, I'm at home. I'm at home, but home I love. And home is a great space to be in. So, yeah. You're doing a lot of Australia. It sounds like you're sort of dotting off some of the key areas of Australia. From there, where were your holidays? Where were your overseas destinations you went to for your own good rather than work?
To be honest, I don't really take holidays because I don't feel like I need to.
Yeah.
I don't need to escape from my job. And for most people, that's what a holiday is. It's a break from your work. I love my job wholeheartedly, and I have done my entire career, that I don't feel that need. And I'm even now, like when I do want to go to a particular country, I'm like, be patient, Karla. You'll get paid to go at some point. Just wait, be patient. Your time will come around.
Yeah, if you think about it enough, it'll gravitate towards you.
It does. I'm somebody that if I want something to happen, I will plant the seed, and generally it will come about because I'll work at it. You know, if I want to get to a country, I'll go and do research and I'll put the word out and I'll talk to people from that region and I'll go, hey, do you know what? We actually have an opening. Great, let's go.
I thought it might be coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Which begs the question then, maybe this is going too far forward, but which begs the question of what is in that dream box? What's on that dream wall of where Karla wants to go for future things?
Yeah, in terms of destinations overseas, I really want to do the Arctic, which I know someone that gets up there. Galapagos Islands has been high on my list. I can't work there, but I certainly can travel there.
So as a guide, you can't go and work there as a guide?
Only hire locals.
Okay, interesting.
Which I love, which is great. You know, it supports the local community. So no, I can't work there. Africa, I've only done East Africa. I haven't done South Africa, so that's definitely high on my list. That one I might do as a holiday if I can't get there soon for work because it's calling me. Do you know what? The only continent I haven't been to is the US. How weird.
Not South. You've done South America, but it's the northern.
Yeah, I haven't done North America,
Okay.
which I'm actually contemplating moving there. So there's just a real big draw for me right now. I'm leaning more towards into the hunting, bushcraft, survival space, and there's a big opening up there, particularly for hunting. And I've got quite a few friends over that way now. So it's on the cards that maybe in the next 12 months I might go.
So this begs more questions again then. So, okay, you're an animal lover in Sydney and you love the idea of hunting. And then obviously in most people's minds there's this crossover. Okay, what is it about the hunting that appeals to you? Is it the end use of the product? Is it about the skill and the architecture of the, I suppose, weaponry that you're using? What is that change from passionate animal lover and hospital member to someone that's going out there to do that?
Yeah, look, for me, there's many levels to it. So one, I want to know where my meat comes from. You know, I'm definitely a meat eater. Quite often I do the carnivore diet. I'm a big meat eater. And I think if more people were aware of where their meat actually came from, you know, not just walking into a supermarket and getting it off the shelf, it would change their mind a little bit. So for me, I love the fact that when we are out hunting, it is a wild animal that has lived a wild life. It is not full of pesticides, like, you know, sprays and whatnot. It's not full of hormones being pumped full, and it's not stressed from being mustered up, stuck on trucks, filled, you know, full of grain at the feedlots before sale, all these things that people don't think about that happens. And we all know that there's something happening with us and our health that is coming from food as well. And for me, it's connecting not just to that animal, it's connecting to the land, it's connecting to me. I have to slow down a lot when I hunt, which is like a new part of my personality I didn't know was there.
When I sleep, just about present.
And I got into bow hunting in particular because I really like the primitive sort of getting back to your ancestral roots. And through my work in Nat Geo, I see a lot of really remote villages that are living wholly and solely off the lands, and I was just really wanted to get connected into that. So I had the bush tucker part of it for the last 10 years or more, but really wanted to get into the hunting side of things as well. And for me, I feel most connected to that animal by bow hunting. Even rifle hunting for me is disconnected. You're 200 metres away, 100 metres away,
and the advantage level, you are so far up the advantage level
Big time.
that you've almost not got to be good at it to do it and get your end game. Whereas there is the skill and the art to learn to do something in the most simplistic of forms that is not hand-to-hand combat, hand-to-horn combat.
And it's hard work. It's challenging. You have to have a good level of fitness. You're climbing up and down the mountains, and it can be hard because you're out there stalking onto a mob of goats or pigs or whatever it is, and you're getting so close, you've been walking up on them for 2-3 hours, the wind changes.
And then you spook them
and they're gone. You're like, let's go again. But while you're out there, you're hiking. You had sunrise there over the mountains. You're seeing kangaroos and wallabies and wombats and the bird life, and a snake will cruise past. And it's just about being in nature and with the people you do it with as well. It's that common ground and camaraderie that you're building while you're doing it.
So it sounds that this is the sort of, in a way, the organic version of doing it, which is to go out there into a wild space where it is you one-on-one with the tactician's mind to go and take this on. There is the perception, obviously, that hunting is the rich American tourist with his one leg up on a lion carcass because he wanted to head for the garage. It's that sort of perception, I think, that's the negativity.
It's a stigma that's attached to it. Yeah, and that's very much what I'm trying to help change people's mind. And I've had many hunters reach out to me on socials and be like, yes, finally, somebody who can help close that gap, because I am the animal lover because of my work as well with Nat Geo. and I'm a female,
Yeah.
you know, typically people think of it's like a bloodthirsty, male-dominating thing, but it's not, you know, more
One
and more
for the
women...
pool room, I need the head.
Yeah, and I will never be a trophy hunter. The animals that I go for are invasive species. They need to be removed off the land anyway.
Yeah.
They're a pest. They spread disease. They ruin water. Whole bunch of things that's going on. You know, in Queensland alone, we have 2.3 million pigs, like ridiculous amount, and then we eat the meat. And then if we can tan the hide if it's an animal, you know, that's got a beautiful coat. And you can even use the intestines to make cordage and the Achilles tendon to make string. And, you know, the idea is to use as much of the animal as we possibly can, and what we can't use goes to the neighbour's dogs.
I think it's great. It justifies it, unravels the story. It gives the perception of what you've connected all the dots on the Karla that grew up in Sydney with the passion for the animals to what you're doing now. And I think the invasive species is the biggest part of that it is helping the native animals to have a better lifestyle, to change the way that destruction of the bush happens, all those sort of things. So, you've signed and sealed that one on me. That also then leads us quite nicely into the sort of later chapters of life for you, which is now sort of the TV side of things. You've just come off the second series of Alone. You were doing a TV series before that. How do you sort of break into, was it opportunity knocks? Was it you applying? How do you get into, what was your first journey into TV?
It's been my dream since I was a kid to do Survivor. Always wanted to get on Survivor. Watched it, loved it. Applied a couple of times but haven't got on. And then $1 Million Island came about. And I wasn't really fussed on doing it because I wanted Survivor. And I thought if I got $1 Million Island, maybe they wouldn't put me on Survivor. And then I saw that Ant Middleton was the host. Yeah. And I had read his books. And I really love his motivational way of life and his just his view on life and taking opportunities and whatnot. We live very similar in that way. And as soon as I heard he was the host, I was like, oh, I've got to go meet him. Yeah, righto. So I applied and I got it straight away.
How many people on it? Talk to me about the theory of the show, because I hadn't seen it until I knew you were on it.
Yeah, right? So it's 100 contestants, 100 Australians got put on an island in Malaysia, and we had to battle it out. So we got split into 4 camps. We had to build shelters. We had to do fire by friction to boil our water and cook food. Food was oysters, sea snails, hibiscus flowers. We had some rations they gave us, but not a lot. And then there was challenges like Survivor. Yeah. So we all had a wristband that was worth $10,000, and the idea was to get as many wristbands as you can. Okay. And then at the end, you go into a chance to win $1 million or a share of $1 million. So I came out of 100 people. I came 9th, so I did all right. We were out there for 29 days, the whole show, and I was there for 28 days. So I just missed out on the grand final. And I've got lifelong friends from it now because it's such an unusual experience.
Did it go into series 2 and 3?
No, it didn't follow on, unfortunately. Because I think it was maybe Switzerland had the very first one ever, and then Australia was the second country to do it. It didn't get good ratings, and they didn't continue it on.
But the one that you've now got into, obviously, is being part of Alone. Now that's become a global phenomenon, and it's a lot of people's dream. You know, the idea of being a castaway, being thrown away from the world, so that you have to survive on that. Was it on the back of Series 1 that you'd seen it, the back of the US series? Was it just, hey, it's the next opportunity?
So they contacted me initially. So season 1 was coming out, and they had been in contact with me just through my social to see if I was interested. And then you still have to go through the same application process. They're just looking for people that might want to do it or might have the skills to do it. But I was already doing $1 Million Island, so I had to turn that down. And then with $1 Million Island, I was locked into a 12-month contract. So then when season 2 came around of Alone, I couldn't do that. So I actually ended up being on season 3. Okay. So when I was out of my contracts for the first TV show, then I applied for season 3 and then I got it. Then I got it there. And again, like, it's not about me being on TV. Like, I'm not chasing fame. If I was chasing fame, I'd go on maths or something. You know, like, that's not what my mission is. But when as an adult do you get to do these things? You get thrown in the deep end. And you get to do things like obstacle courses and whatnot. You just don't get to have these odd opportunities as an adult. And you know, friends have said, why don't you just take yourself to the bush and just see how long you can last? But there's got to be a goal. There's got to be something to work towards. Otherwise, I'll be there for 2 weeks and be like, this kind of sucks. I'm going to go.
But so the thing that I always pick up, so I've started watching it, Series 1. Atlas loves it now. My little boy loves it just because he wants to see how things are done. And we've got this sort of 13 acres of bush here where we'll go down and make it humpy and we'll try and practice little things. But the thing that really seems to pull people back quicker than their natural expiry time is the connection to their family and missing kids and stuff. Did you feel when you're going into it, you were at an advantage because you didn't have those close dependents?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that was going to be my win because I don't have that draw for any location. I don't have pets at home. I don't have a partner. I don't have kids. I don't have that draw of something to bring me back to a location. I was like, yep, I've got this in the bag. Yeah. But what was so strange out there for me that I wasn't expecting was the sort of light bulb epiphany sort of moment that I had. And it really
You had a lot of thinking time.
You have a lot of thinking time. You start to really dive deep into why am I that way? Why did that happen? Or why did I say that to that person 17 years ago?
Is it enough to make you stir crazy? And it's dealing with the voice?
The camera ends up being your best friend because you feel like you're talking to somebody.
Yeah,
so you'll
okay.
just... And it's weird too because I would end up talking to the camera, which is essentially the entire world, but more of myself than I would talk to, you know, my next door neighbour.
Yeah.
You just felt like your walls were down, everything was open, and the floodgates just... It's all coming out.
Which is exactly producer's dream scenario. That's what they want you to do. It's the opposite of the compression box of Big Brother, because no one wants to talk and everything keeps themselves to themselves. Whereas out there, you need the avenue. You need the conversation piece.
Absolutely. And I didn't find that a hard thing at all. It was nice to talk to the camera, except for sometimes you'll be talking and you'll be on a little, you know, rant, as we do. And then I'm like, go check that battery, and go check and it's off. It's like, oh, how long has that camera been off for? So that happened a few times, and you don't know what they captured and what they didn't. So that certainly is a hard part of it. I think what people really love about the show is that it's just so authentic and real. You know, other reality TV shows, they can mix match conversations and smoosh things together. They can pinpoint people against each other as well and make the drama.
The heroes and the villains.
Out there, it is your narrative. It is your heart that opens up. You talk about what you want to. But you don't know what that is because you're in such a vulnerable situation out there and you are hungry. Like, I went 14 days no protein for the first stint. My next stint no food was 5 days. My next stint no food was 4 days. It plays on you.
None of us will ever get in that space where we haven't got something in the fridge, or we can't just go down to the local takeaway or whatever it is to fill the pang of hunger.
True hunger.
How does that feel? I mean, when you grow up, you talk about, eat the last bit on your dinner plate because there's people in the other parts of the world that don't get food. You're one of those people that doesn't get that food. What is the effect, internally and on the brain? I
mean, for the first little while, I had so much fat on me, it was fine. Once your body goes into ketosis, you're running off fat.
And you fatten yourself up in advance?
Yeah, I got up to 72 kilos, which is 12 kilos more than my normal weight. Yeah. I went full carnivore, though, to do it. Okay. I wanted to already be in ketosis when I hit the land. Yeah. So it would have been fun to eat pizza and cheesecake and all the naughties, but I didn't. I ate all meat products. But, of course, most people do carnivore diet to lose weight. So it was hard to put weight on. So the only way I could actually put the weight on, apart from just trying to get more calories in, I was drinking thickened cream at the night time.
Wow.
Like, chugging thickened cream.
So in a way, once you're into the third series, in a way you've got revision text. You can look at the old series. You can see the way things are done. How much info do you get from the production team once you sort of get to the final round of interview and then suddenly you're there? What's the sort of lead time up like to the start of the show?
Not
Are they
much.
arming with skills or not?
No, it's the opposite.
Right.
You need to prove your skills.
Yeah.
You need to prove that you could go on the land, and they're not just sending somebody out there that's going to quit in 2 days because they can't build a shelter, because they can't, build a fire or whatnot. Particularly in those elements. It's winter in Tasmania.
Yes.
You want to try and find dry wood? Good luck. Like, it's hard.
And so when you pitch the sort of the locations against each other in the world, you've got the areas up in sort of north of Canada and Alaska, and you've got the threat. You are down the food chain, and you are prey for something out there. Compared to Tasmania and Australia, obviously, you haven't got that threat. No. But what are the biggest threats to you out there then? Starvation is...
Yeah, to be fair, the Australian ones are very different to the US. The US have a lot more freedom because they're allowed to hunt anything that they want to.
Yes, of course.
They're allowed to use things like bows and arrows.
Yeah.
The Australian season 2, they were allowed to in New Zealand, but in Australia and Tasmania, we weren't allowed to.
So did you have to watch stuff go past and go, I can't get it? There's nothing I can do about it?
I didn't have a lot of animals on my particular patch of land, but we have to do live trapping.
Yeah.
It has to be a trap that you can positively identify that animal, and if it's something like a koala or a Tassie devil, you can release it. If it's something you can have, like a wallaby, then you can try and catch it out of the trap and then kill it. So we definitely have the upper hand in terms of environment, because it's not the harsh minus 20 degrees like they have, Vancouver Island or whatnot. Yeah. But they have the freedom of being able to get more food. So I would love to do one of the overseas ones. Yes, the cold would be certainly challenging for this tropical girl in particular, but the fact that you can shoot an elk or whatever country you're in, you can actually take down a big animal and have a bow and arrow. Yeah. In saying that, things like bow hunting is hard, let alone when you haven't eaten for 2 weeks, then to be able to sneak up on the animal and still have the power and the stamina to
take it down.
That's a whole nother ball game as
well.
I
think if you're hitting something of that size, it's almost series 1, isn't it? By the time you sort of knock something down that you can dry and you can then preserve and then you can have food constantly on tap. That happened in your series as well. I forget the girl's name, the Scottish girl's name. Corinne, yeah. I mean, in a way, lucky that something comes out of it. Because you look at these people, the tacticians, look at Outback Mike, the skill sets that he has to formulate anything out of anything and just bloody unlucky. Does it come down ultimately to the draws of who gets what lot, or is it a randomizer? Who gets what spot to be decided? How do you decide the spots?
Oh, look, and I'm not allowed to dive too much into that because that's part of my NDA, but it's a draw essentially. You put your hand in, you grab something, and that's the allocated land that you get. So there is definitely a luck part of it. You know, they try and make it even. That, you know, one person might have better access to firewood and water, but there's not as many animals around. So they try and make it as fair as they possibly can. That's hard to have a patch of land for 10 people and try and make it equal. So the
common denominator looked like fishing in a way. It looks like the standard way. If you can get the fish on tap, if you've got the process, if you've got the access to the worms, all of a sudden you've got a considerable food source if you get it right.
And that's the thing is, like on Shay's land, he was eating bundles of earthworms every day. I probably found 6 earthworms in total on my land the entire time I was out there. So it has a lot to do with the land that you're given. Skill definitely comes into it, absolutely. You know, but you have seen on some overseas ones where that person had very little skill, but they were given a bloody good spot and they're getting fish after fish after fish after fish. So
and which then, of course, you know, as soon as you start to lose the food supply, you start to think differently, your body starts to shake, you fall over, you injure yourself, and it's a fairly quick demise from there. You didn't seem to have that sort of physical demise of things?
Not so much. Like with the hunger, you definitely feel it. It comes in waves. Like during the day, you might be like, oh, tummy's grumbling, oh, yeah, really hungry, and you'll think like, like some big ribs or like a steak or something. It will get into your mind. I did that a lot. And then within 10 minutes, it's gone. And then you get about your day. The thing that really hit me more was the fatigue. Having your pack because you want to go. And for me, I had to travel to do my trap, which is 40 minutes or so away. And you walk 50 metres and you're tired. You've got to stop and have a breather.
Why is a trap 40 minutes away? Just because it's the best environment you've found to do it? So, it was a long journey for you.
It was. Because that's where I saw the wallaby. And I didn't see a wallaby anywhere else. So I had to go where the food source was. And that's where I got dropped. So I got dropped there. I saw the wallaby that night and I was like, okay, I know I can set a trap. I put up the camera that night, confirmed, yes, wallaby, boom, trap is going here. And then I didn't like that area to live in. So that's when I moved and found a spot that I chose to build my shelter, which I loved that shelter and I loved the spot.
Were you in the flood zone as it came up?
This is the interesting thing. So I didn't
Anyone that hasn't seen this, go on there and look at the Series 3 of Alone Australia, because they had phenomenal levels of rain, and it just meant that everybody that had placed their camps by the edge of the water for that fishing ability suddenly had to relocate, and that was a big defining point of the series, really. Yeah,
and everywhere that I looked, there was no signs of the water coming up to that level where I decided to build, and that's purposely why I built it there. It had runoff on all sides. I'm like, I'm good. I'm not going to get swamped in. I'm fine. It was on an island, and I was like, oh, if the water level comes up, I might have to swim to get to my shelter. But the water came up so quickly, it didn't affect me by the time I had left. But I got sent photos from the production team afterwards and my shelter was underwater.
Wow.
Gone.
So there's so much in that first 12 hours of land assessment to work out where you're going to live as long as you can live. And yeah, like you say, you've really got to take those signs off the land of where the flood levels have come to,
where's
what's
the wind
happened around.
Wind's coming in, so you're not getting, because it's the roaring 40s out there. The wind can be wild. The biggest thing for me was sun. I'm a tropical girl. I need sun in my life. And otherwise I get that SADS, that seasonal depressive, whatever it is. So I knew that I needed sun, and where they dropped me was just closed in with trees. And I was like, no. I won't last here at all. So that was my deciding factor, is somewhere that I had hours of sun every single day when the clouds weren't there. Yeah, that was definitely the big factor for me.
And having cold dip therapy was pretty much, how often? Was it a daily? Was it a weekly? Or was it just oh my God, I just need to?
Well, I didn't go swimming once.
Right.
No, so I bathed. I would go into like ankle deep water and I'd splash bits around and I would bathe. I'm a tropical girl. I'm not going
to and again, the hard part is then once you've got that core temperature down, is then warming it back up again.
That was my concern, because I've seen it on other series, particularly in America, where somebody they fell in the water, their clothes were wet, and they couldn't get warm, and they had to tap out. And that was my concern, that if my core temperature drops too low, I'm done.
And the tapping out is a big thing. So, that is the key scene almost that they build up to, is the when do the 10 become 9, become 8, and so on and so forth. And how long do you just spend almost pressing that phone? Or is it, oh, fuck it, I'm gone, I'm done, I'm out of here?
So for me, the first 4 weeks, I was bouncing off the walls. I was having the best time. I was busy building my shelter, doing the trap. Like, I was having so much fun, apart from the day that I ate fiddleheads and threw up.
Yeah, fiddleheads seemed to be the thing. Was it just about not being able to boil anything for long enough?
Yeah, and I tried every technique possible, because, the indigenous people typically would cook them on hot rocks.
Okay.
So I sliced them really finely, and then I roasted the absolute crap out of them. I had a salt block, so I put salt on them, and they were still bitter tasting. I was like, it just doesn't seem right to me. But you really need to boil them and then boil them again and then fry them to get the toxins out of
Seems
there.
like a high workload just to get something that's not got much for you.
And that was the end thing for me, is like I really didn't have much of a drive to eat vegetation, because for me to go and collect the vegetation, bring it back, cook it and eat it, I've just burnt more calories than what I'm getting back in. However, it is important to have that vegetation so your digestion doesn't shut down if you don't have anything else.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah, the tapping out thing. Sorry,
tapping. Yes, I was bouncing off the walls for the most part. Once I got to about day 30 and I had my last piece of eel, my mood just changed. Out of my control. I just went, sat on my floor of my shelter, depressed, feeling sorry for myself, cold, hungry, and I was like, this isn't fun anymore. It's like,
for a reason.
And the big kicker for me, that I had lost so much weight that I knew I didn't have enough weight to win. I had already lost all of my weight off me, and I was only halfway through the competition. Like, they go for at least 65 days-ish, and I was only at day 30. I'm like, I don't physically have the fat to win.
How am I going to keep going? And that just because you couldn't bring enough in? There was not enough in the area around you in the water to bring?
I fished my heart out all day, every day, overnight time, and all I got for the 5 weeks I was there, I got 2 eels and 1 fish.
Wow,
I lost 18 kilos. And I'm not a very big person. I lost 18 kilos was a lot. So yeah, once I got to that point that I had lost so much body condition, I hadn't caught anything for a few days, my mood was just shifting. And in my head, I was like, all right, you've made it to day 30, your next goal is day 45. But then I was like, but for what purpose? To feed my ego that I made it to day 45. It's not a win.
Because it's not, ultimately, the financial thing at the end is that incentive that will take you through the next 5 or 10 days.
Exactly.
And you've got, obviously, there's no indication to you out there of how many are left in there. You've got nothing. You can't hear anyone. It says you're only 6 kilometres away. There's no chance of hearing anyone.
No idea. You've got absolutely no idea. So I guessed how I placed when I decided to leave. I guessed that I was about 5th because of the time frame, and I guessed bang on, I was 5th. Okay. But I didn't know that until I watched it when you guys watch it. We have no idea until it goes to air. We've got no clue.
Because otherwise, the opportunity for it to get out there and...
we've all signed NDAs, but only the winner knows that they've won. Even, Muzza, who came second, he got medically taken out. He didn't know where he placed. He actually thought he came 3rd instead of 2nd. I know, Muzza's such a legend.
And just one of those people that, he's made of leather. He's literally one of those people that was born down the bottom of the garden. He's just like... There was a book called Stig of the Dump in England, and I remember Stig of the Dump was like a kid that lived at the bottom of the garden, and he made everything out of just the bush. And Muzza just seemed like he was born with the knowledge. Yeah. He didn't need to learn this stuff. And he was a great character. And some of the phrases, my 7-year-old, drier than a witch's tit. Right? That will never go anywhere now. That is the best.
There's even T-shirts made up with all of his slogans now. So good, so good.
So it's lovely seeing the characters, seeing the diversity, seeing how people operate and come to the different hunting methods, the different trapping methods. For me, sitting there, it's a brilliant source of education as well. Yeah,
and that's why I really like the American ones in particular, because they really show each step of how people make things and how they do their traps and shelters and whatnot. So I learned a lot from, particularly Clay Hayes. I really loved him on his season. So my shelter was actually quite similar to Clay's. Yeah. I got a little bit of inspiration from him. So it's up to you how much research and stuff that you do with it. But it is a great way to learn and to soak in. And I'm so excited for the next season because I'm like, what are they going to do? It's just and like you said, Mike is just such a great man. I love him to death. We've been mates on socials for years. We've never actually met. We've just been mates through social media. But God, he can, like you said, he can make anything from anything. And just watching somebody bring out these skills. In saying that, though, you will be surprised. Even my shelter, I didn't know what I was doing. It ended up being like the Taj Mahal. Like, it was just...
But it's nice proud in a way.
100%.
And dry and waterproof, because that's your safety. If you get a wet sleeping bag, it's game over almost.
But you'd be surprised how creative you can be and resourceful with what you have. Like, I didn't know I could do something like that. I was really proud to step back and look and go, well, look at me go. Wow, I did that.
So they don't sit there and film. The time-lapse of the deconstruction is nothing to do with you. It's another team that goes in. Or
thank goodness it's not. I wouldn't want to. It would break my heart. I wouldn't be able to watch them destroy my shelter.
It's like one of those illegal beachfront constructions in Bali they're taking down at the moment, where they're going in with sledgehammers and they're taking it down piece by piece. It's beautiful to see it and return back to the bush, but, all that effort, and it's part of your life. It's ingrained in there, and you'll never go back, I imagine.
Oh, we're going to go back to the land. Probably will. Some of the other contestants have already gone back as well. We worked out where it was, and they've recently gone back just in the last month or so. Okay. We all talk about getting together as a group and going back and all stepping and showing each other our patch of land. So we're hoping to do that.
That's good. The camaraderie is there for it.
Oh, huge. It is an experience that only you understand. And I've connected with, like, Naomi from the UK season. Yeah. And because being a woman as well, it's quite a unique thing for us to do. You just connect with these souls on such a different level and so quickly, because nobody gets the experience. And there's so many people that are like, oh, why did you tap out? Or it doesn't look that hard. You've got no idea. It is so much harder than you anticipate. And people are so judgmental as well. While they're sitting on their couch with their home-cooked meals and their comfy, little warm, heated house. But, mate, get out there and try it for yourself.
It's a different game.
It's next level.
So Alone is done. When did that wrap up?
So we finished filming, it's a year ago. So I would still be on the land now, but I'd be coming out in the next week or two from a year ago.
And then it's back into the world of expeditions, really. So you are down to Antarctica. Where's the last year before Alone taken you, and what's the next 6 months looking like?
So before Alone, same thing, expeditions. So I was just mostly in the South Pacific. After that, got back into it, did Papua New Guinea, did Antarctica. My next year, I'm kind of backing off the expedition work a little because, again, I'm just seeing what the world is giving me, and it's leading more down the path of bushcraft and survival. So off the back of Alone, I'm now helping do like bush camps, bushcraft survival, which is done by Gordon Dedman. He's like the lead sort of survivalist in Australia. Just civilians that want to come out and learn how to survive. So I'm helping him out with those courses. And then I'm actually very, very grateful for the opportunity. I'm in the Army Reserves, a truck driver, but through that, they're now looking at putting me on as an instructor for the Combat Survival Training School. So I'm going to be teaching Air Force pilots how to survive if their plane goes down.
Good, isn't it? Like you say, the doorway's just slightly ajar, and if you just let off enough pressure, sometimes they open up, and that's where you follow through.
Exactly. So I really love my expedition work. I'm still going to do some expeditions next year, but I'm kind of pulling back on a few of them because I just want to see where that takes me as well. Getting more into the hunting space and leading hunting camps, bow hunting here in Australia for women in particular. Yeah, again, I'm just so open-minded, and these things are knocking on my door, and I'm like, let's go.
When you see the opportunity come up and you look at one of the Antarctic trips now, do you still does it still appeal to you with the same wide-eyed experience as the very first trip, or is it like I'm going back to somewhere that I feel more familiar with, I'm a little bit tired that I need something new?
For Antarctica in particular, I've been twice, I'm going again this year. It's actually a stepping stone for me. So I went down first as a lecturer. So I was going down there, taking people out, looking at the wildlife, and then giving lectures on board. That's now led me into being a leader down there as well. So typically you need to have a few years under your belt. You know, such a harsh environment down there. So now I've gone down a couple of years as lecturer, now I'll be going down as the expedition leader. So it's that stepping stone. So my role has changed. Yeah. So rather than just going out there and showing the wildlife, now I'm doing all the planning, which is much more intense, which is what I normally do, but in just not such a hectic environment. Normally it's tropical for me. So.
Yes, and so the destinations you go to when you go down there, you know pretty much the lay of the land now. You're going down to what is the areas that you get to, and what's the sort of route that you go into in Antarctica?
So we go from Ushuaia or Puerto Williams, so off the bottom of South America, and then it's usually 2 days across the Drake Passage, and we're trying to get to the peninsula. The best trip, however, if anyone wants to do it, do South Georgia as well, because South Georgia is next level. The wildlife, oh my goodness. King penguins by their thousands, and they're massive, they're everywhere, and the fur seal pups are absolutely everywhere. You got the sea lions as well, you've just got elephant seals. They're insane. It's like documentary, and you're just walking around going, what is this place?
Wow, okay, so South Georgia, put it on your list, is the place to get to.
Got to go to South Georgia.
I've got a little destination that I've been trying to... We've interviewed Jeff Wilson several times on here. Arctic Explorer, lives just down the valley here. He's been across Antarctica multiple times by himself. There's a little place called Heard Island that we are looking at potentially trying to get to at some point, because that there again, so few people get there. You know, I see, even going into Ushuaia and going to Puerto Williams earlier this year, the number of vessels that are going across, it seems like it's quite a busy place. Does it feel like you've got other vessels around, or are you just totally in the environment of nothingness?
No, so they have a really good booking system, actually. So there can be up to 50, 60 ships down there at any one time, but we all have to book into where you want to go. It's very heavily regulated. You have time restrictions of how long you can be at each place as well. You have restrictions of how many people can be on the land at a time, and it's pre-booked in. So when you're down there, you actually don't see anyone. It's just you.
It is as remote and wild as you can imagine.
100%, definitely. Okay. So you will not see another ship. It's not like you go to the Mediterranean and there's 5 cruise ships. You'll never see that down there at all. It's very heavily regulated, which is nice. You feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, because you are. You're on the bottom of the world.
I imagine you're pretty like me when it comes to packing for a trip. We just come back from doing a 2-week trip into Africa, and people always say, 3 weeks out, oh, are you starting to get your gear ready? I'm the day before, and I imagine you're the same. So you almost know your hit bag, the things you need, and you can drag it all together. What bits of gear or equipment are always in your gear bag?
Typically a machete when I'm tropical, not in Antarctica, but when I'm tropical. Zoleo, my little satellite device. Just for communications back home and for safety too. Leatherman, good pair of boots. Do you know what? That's probably my only real staples hat. Always sun protection. But apart from that, when I'm going somewhere cold, obviously I need more gear. Last year I took 56 kilos of luggage with me because I don't like the cold and I had so many layers.
I'd rather overload than underload on my cold weather gear.
When I'm tropical, I pack really light. Like I don't need to have much with me at all. I try to be a minimalist. I try not to carry much with me anyway.
You found any brands that you really get an affinity to just because of the quality of the gear? Or?
My boots, Lower. Love Lower. So I've been working with Lower for a few years now. So I first bought their boots and loved them. And then now I'm sponsored by them as well. And I'm still sort of trialling out different clothing. I'm doing a little bit of work with, oh gosh, mental blank, and they're going to kill me that I can't even remember their brand right now. They're sponsoring us for the row that I'm doing, the row across the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, this is the next thing that's come up, isn't it? The row across the ocean, yes, okay.
Yeah, look, I try not to be affiliated with too many brands because I'm not an influencer and I will never be an influencer and that's not what I'm about. However, if there is a company that I genuinely use their gear and love it, I will talk about it because I want to give that good advice. I've had companies give me their clothing and stuff that I've tried before and I've sent it back to them and said, thank you, but no thank you. Like, I appreciate it, but it's just not to the standard that I need it to be. And they really appreciate that feedback. And I'm like, if you want to change your product and then you want me to test them, I'll test them out for you.
That's product evolution, and that's what you're there for. They want someone in the field who's going to put it through the actual tests that it needs to get to be a quality product on the shelf.
And that's the hard thing is because the problem with social media these days and influencers is that they just want to get the free gear and they'll take the video and put the testimonial, which isn't tested. Amen. You need to find true adventurers out there using the gear. They're the ones that you need to believe the product.
And you might pay more for it, but you pay it for a reason because the workmanship, the sustainability of the whole story, the sourcing of it, where it's manufactured, that comes at a cost. But that means that you're not going to get rid of it after season 1. It'll be season 10 or season 20. And you're probably going to have stitched it up 1,000 times yourself 100%, in between then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even something like my belt, I don't have it on today, but I have a crocodile skin belt that I've had for over 10 years. And I have had it restitched twice. When you find a good quality product, it was expensive. You want to use it, you want to keep it, you want to maintain it, and it will last you a bloody lifetime. Look after your stuff.
That's why there's an old Land Rover parked over there, because he is the good boy that will last a lifetime. Longer than me, I would say. So we need to touch very briefly, because you can't just throw a comment in there like I'm rowing an ocean. What is the Ocean Project all about? Okay, so myself and 3 friends, we are doing the world's toughest row. So it's a race that 40 boats enter every year. We leave from the Canary Islands in Spain and finish in Antigua in the Caribbean. It's across the Atlantic Ocean, which can be up to 10 metre swell. You row 2 hours on, 2 hours off. The quickest anyone's ever done it is 29 days. The longest is 147 days. We're aiming for about 6 weeks is what we would like to do. So in your 2 hours off, you need to try and sleep, eat, navigate, maintain the boat, journal. You're eating pretty much dehydrated food for the entire time. We have a little water maker on board. It's going to be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I think alone in comparison will be a walk in the park. The flip of it from alone where you're by yourself but you've got all of this space to you've got this tiny space and 4 people. It's going to be a real compression session.
And just the fatigue. It's just the mundane, same thing, day in, day out for weeks upon weeks upon weeks.
When do you depart?
We leave December next year. Right. So we're in our sponsorship phase right now. So we're trying to purchase the boat. So we've got $115,000 that we've got so far. The boat's $160,000. So we're so close. Yeah. And then once we can get the boat, then we can actually start training. Because the funny thing is, not one of us have ever rowed before.
In a way, a very good friend of mine, Eleanor Carey, it was exactly the same. She had 7 weeks' notice when an opportunity came up to row from California to Hawaii. Okay. And she had 7 weeks' notice and said, how do I go about and do this? And I was like, well, you need to get in a boat first of all. She's like, okay, I need to learn to row. We talked about it for a while in the first week of her going through that mindset of how do I equip myself to go on an ocean when I've never even rowed before. She turned it around in 7 weeks and she filled a space.
7 weeks.
So it's very, very possible to do these things.
Yeah, look, I'm not worried. I mean, all of us 4 girls have worked on the ocean for our entire career. So we've got that part down. We're fine. It's just the physical rowing, which... we use the rowers in the gym. It's not quite the same thing. In terms of stamina, it is. But sitting on a rower in the gym for 2 hours.
It's another. So the physicality will come. You'll be fit before you leave, but you'll be fitter after a week because you'll be used to it. The body will go into breakdown, but it's the mental fortitude and the mental capacity to deal with the uncomfortableness that's going to be the hard part.
Yeah, but for me, I'm not concerned about that because I don't have the option to quit.
Yeah.
Something for me that I know is a personal struggle of mine is when it gets too hard, I do quit. Like, I'm not an ultramarathon runner. I would love to be. Once I get to 10Ks, I'm like, this hurts. I'm not having fun. I'm out. A barrier that I know that I need to learn to break through. Doing something like the row where I'm on a boat, I don't have a choice. But I'm good in that situation. If I just need to knuckle in and get it done, I'm fantastic. I've got that for sure. the work's there, it has to be done, I'll just do it because I don't have the option to quit. So that side of things I'm not worried about. Us girls have been friends for over 10 years. It's going to be tough. I'm watching people do it now. There's a group of 4 guys going across right now, and I'm watching their journal, and they're like, this is the worst decision we've ever made in our life.
Wow.
I'm like, great, can't wait. Sounds amazing.
But at least, again, you know that you've got to potentially get into that locker. So, but in a way, this is the difficulty with adventure, isn't it? You can over-research something to the point where the adventure is gone, or you can research something so much that you're so prepared it becomes almost too easy to do this thing. It's that tipping point of we have so much information, so many sources thrown at us on a daily basis through, blogs and forums and channels, that it's almost like we've got so much info, there's no space for the adventure.
And that's something that I very much am loving in my personal life away from work, because my work is so planned almost to the minute of every day. And of course, as you know, things don't go to plan. Very rarely do they, and you have to think on your feet and make changes, and that's what we love about it. When I'm in my time off, I don't plan a thing. I am very spontaneous. I'm that kind of friend that calls and says, hey, let's go to Africa on Tuesday kind of a thing. Or if I am going with somebody or going for a hike, you're leading the hike, and I don't research it. I don't know where we're going, what we're doing, because I need that element of surprise, because otherwise my life is so researched and so planned out, which is my career and my job, and I love it and I'm good at it. But when it's my off time, I don't want to know what I'm doing. I'm just going to rock up and see what happens.
How do we keep in touch with all these adventures? Because obviously we are watching this on multiple platforms. How do we look at Karla Pound?
So I try to keep it very simple. I'm just on Instagram, so it's just Karla_in the wild. I've thought about doing YouTube channels and things like that, but it's not who I am. I really want to be immersed in my lifestyle and in the bush and not be having a phone or something in my hand constantly. So that's my only platform that I'm on. And I'm always really open to going on adventures with new people, new friends. If anyone's going out hiking or climbing or canyoning, which is something I really want to get into, if anyone does that, let me know. I'm always up for a challenge, always up for something new.
Did you end up finding your hike? Because I know in the last 24 hours you put the appeal out there of where can I go on the
Gold
Coast?
I haven't been yet. I'm going to go the next day or two.
Okay,
so
nice.
I'm always just looking for something new. People are always open to sharing what their experiences are, so I'll jump on that and go with anyone to do anything fun, really. The more adventure, the better.
I'm so pleased that we've done it in this way rather than just doing it as a digital conversation. So it's nice to do it in person, just to get to see you here, to hear the story, to get the buzz, to get the vibe. For anybody who is watching this, that is the 1 hour that we get for Wild Earth Australia's Wild Chats. My name is Ben Southall. This is Karla Pound. For now, signing out.
Thank you.